We are hearing what we want to hear, seeing what we want to see, learning what we want to learn. We'll teach you if you'll teach us. It is time once again for another episode of Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon, and yes, it's time for the crew to solve the problems of the world with weekly whiskeys in hand and bring you 2 hours of the topics we're not supposed to discuss in polite conversation. After all, we love to talk politics, sports, religion. Yes, we are a Catholic Christian show, but it doesn't mean we can't have fun. So let's get to it. It's funny how the good book, written over 2,000 years ago, is pretty much always relevant in present time. And of course, this week is no different. We've had new music from Taylor Swift, which of course reminds us that the book of Revelation is true. I mean, that stuff has to be from at least one of the 7 bowls of wrath, bringing pain and darkness. I digress, I'm sorry. But seriously, the good book did, in fact, predict today's times. You can certainly find it in Paul's second letter to Timothy, chapter 4. He writes, and I quote, "Preach the word, be prepared in season and out of season, correct, rebuke, and encourage with great patience and careful instruction. For the time will come when people will not put up with sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they'll gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths." I mean, can he be any more spot on here? Let's start with the basics. First, he's talking about preaching, of course, Christianity, that is. But the paragraph really applies to so much more. The zeitgeist of today is actually pretty simple. Many of us, we don't put up with sound doctrine. In other words, we don't listen to logic. Down is up is down, right is wrong is right, truth is looked at as a lie, and people are believing lies as true. Dogs and cats are living together. It's mass hysteria. Make it make sense. But Paul really isn't done there. He further outlines exactly where we actually are. School, friends, family. We're getting rid of them if they don't agree with us. He says, quote, "Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear." In other words, the echo chambers that ignore truth are used to further indoctrinate each other. Those echo chambers are all around us. It's in the mainstream media. It's in academia. It's the feed that we're subscribed to on our social media. It's everywhere. And it's debilitating. Why? Well, it's debilitating because of this, that last sentence. They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. Look, we've got a lot of myths that a lot of people believed. Many believed Russia collusion. 2 weeks to slow the spread. The shot will stop transmission. If it didn't come from a lab, the laptop isn't real. There weren't any ghost buses. There weren't any feds involved in January 6th. There was no conspiracy to imprison a former president. No MK Ultra, no Project Mockingbird. Need I go on? See, this is the problem with living and believing our truth versus the truth. This is why we have to do, as Paul says, we have to preach the word, be prepared in season and out of season, correct, rebuke, and encourage with great patience and careful instruction. See, we have to do it with patience and careful instruction. Right now, I mean, if you're watching, we mean like really watching the world, you can see the lies that we've now been told for years. They're all coming out. But teaching with patience and careful instruction, this is the key. This isn't a light switch which is going to flip in people's heads. The truth that we're actually seeing unfold in the world today, that reality, it's changing for so many people. It's a true shift in the fabric of the world in which we live. This is why we're here. This is why we have implicit bias. This is why you have implicit bias. We're going to discuss the truth. We're going to teach each other. We're going to do it all while working on all of us. While working on the R's, working on the D's, working on the liberals and the conservatives. So grab a glass, pour a taste. Let's get neck deep in the alligator Alcatraz. That is this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. Cheers. It's time for us to learn something here on Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. Welcome into the Mr. Lester's TSPL. That is the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair for the uninitiated. We got a great crew for you here this week. It's the OG crew in the studio. We're going to introduce you to who that is in just a moment because Renee is apparently messing with his headphones. I don't know what's going on. So we'll start with Caleb, the Rustic Renegade. Caleb, it's great to have you back.
It is great to be here. And I mean that with all emphasis. If you're in the room, you know what happened. If you don't, I'm happy to be here.
What's the saying? Life comes at you pretty fast every now and then. You just got to stop and smell the roses. Thank you, Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. Life came at me at 46 miles an hour and full stopped.
And we are glad that you are still here with us. And instead of smelling the roses, we'll get you to smell some whiskey.
I'm looking forward to whiskey.
We'll let you nose hump that glass for a solid 5-10 minutes.
All day.
All right, let's go to the bar, where apparently Grant thinks it's funny to nose hump something. Grant Galatas of William S. Nacall Jewelers. He is K&B of Kennebra, because that's where he's originally from. Grant, it's good to have you with us.
Absolute pleasure, as always.
You've been busy lately. You feeling better? I know that as we get older, we all get little aches and pains. Hopefully the whiskey will maybe serve as a tonic for you this evening.
I can honestly say I feel like $27.
There you go.
Not a penny more, not a penny less.
Sitting next to Grant Galatas, he is Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist. We know him as the CWAT, the certified wizard of tobacco, Renee Girard of Piper's Haven.
I feel like $34.97.
97?
Yeah, 97. I can't, go even numbers like that.
Okay.
It's 97.
So you're just $34.97.
$34.97.
So we've got $27 and $34.97, which is what, $61.97 if I'm doing the math in my head right, something like that at the bar. Yeah, so $61, almost $62 at the bar. Okay. Speaking of $62, this is going to be fun because we are having new whiskey with us this week. Another one from the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective location. This one, our Opelousas branch. This comes from Benny's Grocery in Opelousas. We're thrilled to have them as part of the group. So this is a Benny's bottle. You can get this bottle as Caleb slides this one into the shot if you're watching on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, wherever. The Prideful Goat. Now, the Prideful Goat, we've actually had on the show before, but it's been a very, very, very long time. The last time we had it was only once.
Yeah, but 3 years
But it was at least 3 years ago. And different studio. We weren't on video. You couldn't see it. You couldn't see how cool the bottle looks. And we actually had the guy who started the brand on the show. Now, Whiskey Pete out of Houston. Shout out to Whiskey Pete, by the way. He was tons of fun on the show. Not here with us this week. But guess what? He sold the brand, so it really doesn't matter. The brand has been sold. It is with somebody else. But Prideful Goat is still producing a 6-year rye, which is what we have here. They're straight cask strength 6-year rye that I'm curious to hear what the crew thinks about this one right out of the gate. So Caleb is putting it into the Implicit Bias Whiskey Tasting Journal where we keep all of our notes for all of our whiskeys. Grant, why don't we start with you? You're normally not always a rye guy, and 115 proof, I don't know if that's normally your wheelhouse. Normally you kind of like to edge down just a bit, but you're starting to get to that high proof hound label.
Yeah, 110, 115 is fine with me. This has a really, really nice profile. It's 115 and it's a rye, so I expected it to kind of really have not overwhelming peppery, but at least a little more pepper presence in this. But this is actually a little bit smoother. So this is a very smooth 115 rye.
Okay.
I'm getting what I always look for. I'm getting a little bit of caramel. I actually read up on it a little bit, so I always read up on it a little bit first and then see if I can pick out the flavors, because on my own, it just doesn't happen.
That's all right.
But I do get a little bit of oaky out of this, and a little bit of caramel, which is what I look for. Very sweet profile, and smooth for 115 and rye, the combination.
So to your point, for a rye at 115, it comes off incredibly soft, for lack of a better term. It's soft to me on the palate and on the mouthfeel. It's not overly viscous. It's not overly heavy. It's not quite a summer whiskey. It's not quite that light.
Right, agreed.
But it is a light caramel, not a deep caramel, not that caramel bomb. Good flavor.
Smooth.
Really good flavor. And I'm like you, at 115, I think it's really smooth. Renee, you are the only one who insists on drinking from a Glencairn instead of our Czechoslovakian crystal tumblers.
Yeah, it's because I have a hard time regulating how much I become drunker when I drink out of those glasses. So by doing my Glencairn, I can regulate and pour a little less, and that way I can keep from becoming drunkle.
You sure about that?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I haven't become drunkle in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, sometimes we like drunkle, though. Drunkle can be fun.
Yeah, but the next day I wind up with problems the next day. You know, I go to the hospital with AFib and
yeah,
stuff,
no, we
so
can't have that.
I don't
No,
want
we
that.
don't want that.
This, you know, I was trying to think about when we had the prideful goat. It was at least 3 years ago. And I think even back then, I thought it was a little too hot. But evidently, I've been drinking heavier proofs because y'all are rocket fuel guys. I've gotten used to it. It's actually very drinkable. I like this one. Best I can remember, the old one, I didn't care for it that much. It was just too much for me.
Now,
But this one is, I like it.
there are multiple versions of the Prideful Goat Rye. There's the 6-year.
Yeah,
and
we
then
had
there's-
the 6-year.
And then there's a 15-year.
No, we had
We've
the
had
6-year.
both.
Well, I
We've had
remember
both.
the 6-year.
So maybe it was the 15-year
the
that you had.
15-year I drank later on in the night when I was becoming drunkle, I think.
Okay, fair. But you like the way this one
Yes,
drinks.
this one drinks very nice. And, you know, I've become kind of a rye guy. I do like ryes. Yeah, I would do this one. I would
Interesting.
buy this one.
You would buy this. Okay,
Yeah.
so we know it's at least a green. We'll talk
Yes.
about the rating in a minute. But now we have to go to the nose that knows, and that is the Rustic Renegade, who is actively nose humping that rock heavy tumbler in the corner.
I am, and I stole your glass.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, what were you trying to tell me?
Smell my glass. Smell your glass and smell mine. When I was smelling mine,
Is this like smell my fingers? Do I not want
no,
to
it's
do this?
way different, way better. So there's a hint of something that I knew couldn't be in
Okay.
this drink. So I'm sniffing it, couldn't figure it out. Yours smells different.
Mine does smell, mine was the neck pour, to be fair.
Mine smells way too sweet. Yours, I can get the rye. I can get a little spice, a hint of caramel. And then I started working my glass, shaking it, moving it around. I still think maybe that you gave me a dirty glass is actually what it is. And I don't know if it's traumatic. I don't know if it's PTSD from this weekend or what, but I get fresh, like a fresh plowed field. Like,
I do get a grainy,
Earth.
I do get a grainy, earthy note
Yes.
on the nose of this. Like, I don't want to say rye field, but I
Yeah,
get like
but-
a wheat field.
yes, like a wheat
Yes.
field or something similar that's freshly plowed, not cut, plowed, because you get the earth smell in there, you get the grain in the air, you get the sunshine on it a little bit, which I had a lot of all that this weekend. And so maybe it's PTSD, I don't know, but I get that heavy on the nose. And I just got my first sip, and the first sip I haven't dug into this yet, but I get honey, followed by, hold on, I didn't write it down. There's a citrus there that I can't put my finger on
Yeah,
yet.
I would agree with you. It's almost like a tangerine. Like it's a
Okay.
it's a light orangey.
It's not a
very
kumquat.
bright
There's another small orange too.
a satsuma.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And there's something there on the back end. I'll get it. I will need to have more of this.
Oh, shocker!
There's
Got to find a reason to have more.
yeah. This weekend I drank. I call it a weekend. That's probably better for what I just said. I drank tequila this weekend. Not much of it actually. And this is what I should have had for going through what I went through. This is calming.
Really?
This is, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I have a problem.
Well, we know you have a problem.
The flavor-
Whether you have a problem with this whiskey is a whole different thing.
The flavor profile, the pepper, the proof. It is a much needed respite.
I can see that. I can see how this whiskey sits on the palate. I like that you went honey. I do get not a dark honey on this. I get a light honey on this, which to me lends to that light caramel as well. I get that earthy, grainy aroma on the nose. I get kind of in the cheeks that little bit of sweet and that little bit of pepper that just sits so well. Sits so well.
You want to hear the official online?
Only if we're right.
Interpretation of
Only if we're right.
No, as usual. All the sweet and dark toffee notes from the nose move to the palate with a delicious amount of toffee, caramel, sage, clove, apricot, and some lemon citrus.
I wouldn't do lemon. I think satsuma. I think
But you also had a
more of
very light citrus, so
Yeah.
that's why I kind of lean towards the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the lemon citrus with that.
Yeah, no, and look, Satsuma, to me, you said apricot also in
they
there.
said apricot.
I can see the apricot, the white stone fruit.
Right.
It's got
I can see that.
a slight bite on the back end. It's not mint. It's nowhere near mint, but it's something similar. And man, it just cleans. It finishes crisply and cleanly.
See, I find it's got a long finish to it. It is crisp.
Yeah.
It is clean, but it's a long finish. So it's
No, it
it's
stays
just
around.
oily enough, but you don't feel like it's overly viscous or overly oily, which is what I really like about this. It just goes down incredibly easy. It's a really nice drinker. And by the way, I mentioned that there's the 6-year version of this. There's the 15-year version of this. Benny's has both in Opelousas. So if you are part of the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective or you want to go buy from there and you're in the Opelousas area, go by, tell them you heard about it on Implicit Bias Radio because we're going to talk about where this bottle rates in a minute. What is it, Caleb?
I've
You
got a
figured it
flavor
out?
that's not a flavor.
Uh-oh. Here we go.
The end of a long day, right? You've worked your butt off. You've sweat through your clothes. You probably should have changed once or twice, and you sit down and watch the sun set. This is that in a glass. It's that emotion, that relaxation, that cleanliness wrapped with a little bit of dirty at the end of a long, painful day.
Yeah, but if you've been sweating, you ain't clean.
No, that's why it's cleanliness wrapped with that little bit of dirty.
Spearmint is the mint that I'm tasting. I'm getting a slight
I get
spearmint.
a
not
slight of that.
Not a peppermint, just a slight.
I also
It's very small.
think
Yeah.
we need to start a new thing here on Implicit Bias Radio, which is we need to have somebody sponsor Poems by Caleb Morse. Whiskey Poems by Caleb Morse. Whiskey Poems.
Good luck
Yes.
selling that.
Whiskey Poems
I'll
by
try
Caleb
that.
Morse.
We'll try it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that mean he's got to wear like what's the smoking jacket with
Yes.
the
An ascot.
ascot? Yes,
yeah.
an ascot.
And
I'd be a cool poet. I'd be like a Hemingway or something.
And we've all got to sit
Not
here when
full
he's
Hemingway.
and when he's done. We've all got to sit here and go.
No, that's spoken word.
Oh no! Look, we'll just revive Deep Thoughts on. Remember Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live had Deep Thoughts, so we can
Because
bring
I'm
that
good
back.
enough and I'm smart enough and doggone it, people like me. And that dude became a freaking senator. Are you kidding me, Al Franken? Anyway, okay, so it's time for us.
Aspirations.
It's time for us. Actually, so no, Deep Thoughts was Jack Handy on Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy on Saturday Night Live. It was positive reinforcement with Stuart Smalley that was Al Franken. Yes. Okay, it is time for us to rate this on the Morse Whiskey rating code and time for us to play What Would You Pay for the What Would You Pay Championship Belt Chain presented by Box Drop of Lafayette, which Renee is holding up at the bar. So I've got the price, which means I'm not eligible. But I'm going to start by rating this one. We gave this probably at the time, I think that was a different book, Caleb.
Well, no,
That was the first book.
I'm going to where we already closed it, so now I gotta write everyone's initials.
The 15 year is an absolute blue.
Yeah.
The 15 years in this is really close to a blue. This is a really solid green for me. I buy this, I drink this, I like this, I love this. It's not quite that collectible, gotta have, always, special life moment, birth of a child, passing of a relative where you're sitting around having those memories. Not quite that bottle, but very, very close. So for me, this is a solid green. So for those who don't know how the Morse Whiskey rating code works, if you're in New Orleans, if you're in Monroe, if you're in Ruston or Bossier and you're listening, if you're listening in Central Louisiana, here's how this works. The red rating on the Morse Whiskey rating code is I wouldn't drink it even if it was free. Yellow is I would only drink it if it was free. Green is I would buy this, which is a really good rating. Blue is I would seek this out. So this, for me, on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio, the 6-year Prideful Goat is a green. Let's go to the bar. Renee, you're going to start us off. Number 1, where do you rate this? Number 2, what would you pay?
Definitely a green. And I'd agree with you that the 15 would probably be a blue. But this is a definite green. This is definitely a whiskey you would buy to sit with your close friends at the end of Caleb's day,
Yep.
sitting, sweating, looking at the sunset. This would be a great whiskey for that. And I would put this one at about 95.
95. All right. Grant.
Couldn't agree with your assessment more. Just a rock solid green all the way around. Definitely one you would buy. Definitely one you would enjoy every time you crack the bottle. I'm going to stick with the rule. I'm going to give this right at $60.
Right at $60. So Renee was at 95.
Mm-hmm.
Grant is at 60. Caleb, where are you?
80 to 64
82, 64. Can you be a little more specific?
and 13 tenths.
Okay.
Oh, it's for 1300s. And this is a green. Like I want to give it a blue. But like I said, I think maybe it's a little PTSD in there, but it's a green. This is phenomenal. The 15, I remember the 15. I can't hide it from myself. It is just splendid. This is not that. But damn, it's good.
This is maybe one of the best straight available obtainium drinkers that I think we've had on the show consistently now, because we had it once and it was really good. Then we had it again this time. Again, really good, great drinker, great price point. And here's the really interesting part. The person who wins the What Would You Pay championship belt chain. And Caleb, what was yours again? 82.64. Grant was $60 and Renee was 95. The winner is Grant Galatas. This is a $69.99 bottle of whiskey. So Grant was just $10 away, which means he gets to wear the What Would You Pay championship belt chain presented by Box Drop of Lafayette. Don't forget, if you want to get a bottle of this or you want to get your spirits anywhere that is definitely buying local, lean in and go to the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective stores. Nunu's in Youngsville, Scott, Milton, Maurice. Go to Benny's in Opelousas. Go to Champagne's in Carencro. You've heard their picks here on the show. If you missed them, go back and watch them on our YouTube channel or our Facebook channel, because trust me, you want to know these weekly whiskeys, which you can find at the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective right here on Implicit Bias Radio. Trying to teach, trying to learn, trying to put down 1 or 12 weekly whiskeys. This is Implicit Bias Radio coming to you from the Mr. Lester's top secret podcast lair located somewhere in downtown Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We got a great crew here with us in the studio this week, which let me go ahead and set up for you before we remind you what the specials are at Mr. Lester's in the month of August, which are just mental. All right, let's start here at the bar. Grant Galatas of William S. Nacall Jewelers, otherwise known as, or also known as, AKA K&B, because he's from Kennebra. Didn't wear his purple shirt. I'm disappointed. You wore your powder blue. What is that? Teal blue? I don't even know.
I wear the purple one like 3 or 4 days a week.
But you've got the purple.
It's an off day.
You've got the purple polo logo, I see.
I'll take credit for that.
There you go. All right. Sitting next to him is Renee Girard, Louisiana's only certified master tobacconist of Piper's Haven, 3916 West Congress. And yes, he is the certified wizard of tobacco. We're glad to have you back with us, Renee, as well. In the chair like mine, maybe enjoying his weekly whiskey a little bit too much, is Caleb Morse. And you know what? That is okay, Caleb.
Thoroughly enjoying it. You know, I enjoyed a really good cigar the other day too. So
Good.
these would have paired well together.
Probably good whiskey, good cigar. This came from the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective, Benny's Grocery in Opelousas. So if you want a bottle of the Prideful Goat, go see them. They got it.
You know, they've been a staple in Opelousas since I was a little kid. So they've been there a long time under great ownership as well.
Love seeing family, locally owned and operated stores, and it's what we support with the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective. Okay. So we talk about teaching, we talk about learning, we talk about being prepared to tell people the right things during the right time, because people won't listen to sound logic.
I know where you're going.
And this story, this is one that people have not wanted to listen to for a long time. But the chickens are coming home to roost, Bobby Boucher. And I got a feeling, just a feeling, that we may actually see some, and I don't want to get into this argument with Grant, we may see some accountability around some of this. John Solomon doing the bulk of the work on the reporting end of this. He was actually doing it 5-6 years ago as well. But the Russia collusion story is blowing up everywhere, and we are not talking about it enough. Why? Here's why. Because a sitting president conspired, allegedly, I have to say allegedly, but allegedly conspired with his CIA director, with his FBI director, with his national intelligence director, with his Secretary of State at the time, to create a false narrative, to create evidence, to fabricate evidence in order to make it look like an incoming president was in collusion with a foreign country. Now, people say, oh no, this didn't happen. And here's where John Solomon really just comes in and hits this hard. I quote, Obama may have given us a smoking gun, sir. He did, yeah. He's either the first clairvoyant president in American history because he seemed to know on December 19th, before the CIA had redone the Intelligence Committee assessment, what its outcome was. Or more likely, he knew the fix was in. In other words, Barack Obama gave an interview on December 19th saying, oh, this is what's going on. But the redone fabricated assessment wasn't done until after December 19th. In other words, he said, I looked at the assessment and saw, but that assessment wasn't done yet.
The investigation, we'll call it an investigation, had just begun within the past, I think, 5 to 7 days before that. There was no documentation. There was no report. There was nothing to look at to give him that direction unless he knew what was going to be found.
Please don't believe us on this. Please go look this up.
Well, maybe he knew what was going to be found. Maybe he had already told him, go look for this.
Or maybe they sat in a meeting and he said,
this is the way I want it to go.
Correct.
You know.
And this is what you're going to do.
Yes.
Because here's the deal. You say the investigation had just begun.
Either that or Obama had a crystal ball.
You say the investigation had just begun. When the reality is the investigation, the actual investigation, was already over. Because the intelligence community and the FBI had already come out and said, there's nothing to this. We know there's nothing to this. We know this is incredible. And it was in that meeting, allegedly, that Barack Obama said, no, you're going to change this, and this is what you're going to do.
You do what I tell you to do.
And oh, by the way, right before we started to record this episode, additional bombshells start dropping from John Solomon, releasing an email from Obama's Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates, which was found by Kash Patel, that explicitly told FBI agents who were investigating corruption in the Clinton Foundation to, quote, shut it down. So what you have is a sitting president who knows that the foundation headed by his Secretary of State should be investigated and says, do not investigate that. Create evidence for this. And that is how corrupt the story goes.
I'm sure it gets much more corrupt. I'm sure there are many more switches and so forth throughout the whole entire thing. But it shows you that when you start sniffing in the right spot, you find things. And all of a sudden, someone wants you out of the hen house. And that's what this is we have the executive branch that said, hey, get out of the hen house because he's got his hands in it.
Am I correct in assuming that Obama still has presidential immunity? Should all of this come about?
So this is a really fun conversation. There's multiple facets to this. So if there were acts that were official acts of the presidency, yes, he does. But that also means that he must testify to what happened. In other words, he can't claim the Fifth Amendment for self-incrimination because he is immune because he has presidential immunity.
Right.
Here's the other side of this. Now, this is what I've seen from legal scholars. I did not sleep at a Holiday Inn last night, so I probably don't know this correctly. But from what I've read, he does not have immunity if he continued this conspiracy or continued criminal acts in furtherance of the conspiracy once he was no longer president. So if after the inauguration, there's an email from him to the same people saying, hey, this is what you need to do now, and it's different from what I told you to do before, or this is how you change what I told you to do before in order to further this conspiracy, he does not have immunity from that.
Well, Hillary was a professional at burning emails and getting rid of that. So, but don't kid yourself. He let it slip. that he knew before any of the findings came out. But don't kid yourself. These are not stupid people, okay? And they are well-versed and well-practiced in covering this sort of stuff up. So he might have let it slip, which is the beauty of age, actually, the entertaining thing about age. Because as you get older, did I say
You just don't care?
Did I not say it? Yeah. Well, you just forget if what you said and what you didn't say. But the fact that he let it slip is just hilarious because they prepared for this contingency. It had to have been discussed at some point at the highest levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number one,
because
yes.
because they know beforehand that they're doing something incorrect and they're
and
doing something wrong.
you have
and
too
so
many
they will
people.
plan a cover up.
You have too many people looking, right? And with that many eyes paying attention, it's hard to have anything slip through. So they have to have a plan in place for everything. And when this came out, when it was said, I am very, very certain they started working up a cleanup plan in some way to backpedal and make it like, hey, it never happened.
Well, remember who also is involved in this. And this is the name that we have not brought up. But now he is in potentially a world of hurt in multiple ways. Adam Schiff, remember, took classified information and leaked it to the media from intel hearings in Congress.
And he wasn't just a member of it; he was the head.
Of the committee, correct.
Correct, which makes it that much worse.
So now you've got him tied in, and he's got problems not just from potentially leaking information. He's got problems from how many places he apparently assigned himself as a primary residency and fraud and all the things that they tried to say Donald Trump did. They projected onto Donald Trump. You've got them actually doing, which means this may be, and I'm going to say this and people are going to disagree with me. I know this may be the first time we see some sort of accountability. How high it goes, I don't know.
Man, if we see accountability, I said we all go get like an accountability tattoo or something. Like I will be surprised. I look forward to it. I really do. But you know what? Let's go get tattoos if this happens.
Well, absolutely. But
Grant's signing off on a tattoo.
But if there's anyone who deserves it, it's Adam Schiff.
Oh, I absolutely agree.
Because he's so brazen. The man he does not give a shit.
Ring the bell.
I
That was
guarantee
good.
you.
That was good.
I guarantee you. And just the look on his face, the smug look on his face when he does any of this, I think he knows and he's very comfortable in the fact that he's above it. He's above any accountability because he knows way too much, and people above him are complicit as well. So you put God bless you. You put the heat on him, and he always has that ace in the hole where he can just say, "Look, I'll start squealing up."
But here's the problem. They're now investigating up anyway. They're already looking over his head in the first place, which takes away pretty much anything he's got to leverage, or as Captain Jack Sparrow would say, leverage his way out of this. I don't know that we see him do that. I don't know that happens this time. Do I think we see seditious conspiracy? Probably not as a charge. Do I see fraud? Do I see some of these charges that could carry anywhere from a $250,000 fine per instance and up to 20 years in prison per instance? Yeah, we might see that. We might see that. It's going to be really interesting now that we do, because I believe a lot of what we are seeing, this investigation, this all coming out, Tulsi Gabbard putting this information out there, I believe it's all tied together. And in the final segment of hour one of Implicit Bias Radio, we're going to put a big bow on it and talk about how maybe it's happening right before our very eyes. Stick around. Wrapping up hour one on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. We're going to try and wrap up this entire hour, the conversation that we've had, basically the whiskey, the logical teachings, the things that are out there that people don't want to pay attention to. And I think it comes together with the crew pretty nicely with a couple of stories that I don't even know that I got to put out to the crew, but I know the crew is aware of. So let me tell you who the crew is here so far this week. We've got Renee Girard, who's like Kevon's throwing us curveballs, and he hates it. But trust me, Renee's going to know what I'm talking about when we go this route. Grant Galatas of William S. Snake Jewelers, and of course, Caleb Morse. So here's the curveball. And like I said, I might have sent it out, but I don't know that I did. If I didn't, you're going to know. Washington, D.C. this week got a whole new chain of command.
You did not send that out, but I know.
I knew you would know. I knew Renee would know. I knew Grant would know, because Washington, D.C. had the National Guard called in. Donald Trump evoked a very old law.
1928 was it, or 1934?
I believe so. That basically says I get to do what I need to in Washington, D.C. when it's an emergency, and I'm taking it over and I'm bringing in the National Guard. We are shutting down crime for an emergency.
Yeah, and the police chief didn't know what a chain of command was.
That please don't believe Renee on this, but he's right.
She supposedly has control of the police force and is supposed to enforce the law, but doesn't know what a chain of command is. It just amazes me.
That is a high quality police chief, let me tell you.
Well, she was the DEI person in the police department before the mayor appointed her chief.
That's a great qualification. Yeah. Great qualification.
So I saw a bunch of people online, not in person, like just losing their mind over this, right? And how like this is how we federalize everything. They're going to overstep. And look, maybe now this is localized. That regulation that he invoked is localized to D.C. But I came across one person who said, "If you don't think D.C. is bad, this is the video from my house." It was in 1 week. There was a drive-by in which 5 people were shot in front of his home. I think it was 5. I might be wrong on that one. But there was a drive-by where people were shot in front of his home. Then the people who conducted the drive-by found out he had cameras and set his house on fire. And he has it all on camera. His wife and his kids were in the house. And you know what was happening? You know how many people have been arrested because of that?
None.
Not a one. None. I'll tell you, I don't know what you think out there in radio land, YouTube land, or whatever this is, but I hope that as a man, as a protector, as a human being, sell your cloak and buy a sword, because if the police won't protect you, protect yourself.
Yeah.
And the fact that Trump is stepping in because the police won't protect, and he knows that the next step is they'll protect themselves, he is curbing a lot of violence before he gets there.
I agree. Caleb. Grant. Dear Lord.
Third
I'm
try.
going through the whole thing. Yeah.
I don't know if y'all saw this. The initial press release or the initial on-camera interview.
Yes.
With the D.C. police chief and Muriel Bowser, who's the
mayor.
She seemed relieved initially. She was like, "Look, this place." She didn't come out and say it, but she knows the problem that she's facing. So she initially was very accepting of hey, you want to come help us with this? Fine, send in the troops. They're trying to figure out now who got a hold of her and talked her down or chastised her, because in the next couple of online interviews, she backtracked, because initially, and all it is if you say you agree with Trump, regardless of what he's doing, he's trying to reduce crime. The place has a higher homicide rate than Bogota, Colombia.
I was about to say, let's start here, because the first talking point was, this is after a 30% reduction in violent crime.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
you're at a 90% rate. You've reduced it to 60. And to your point, Grant, it's still higher than Bogota, Colombia as a murder rate, but that makes it okay.
But the person doing the crime statistics was fired because they were falsifying numbers.
Correct. So
that whole mess is just a bunch of bull.
So
and what, to Caleb's point, the people in D.C. cannot protect themselves because you can't own a firearm in the district.
It's
because
very
of their
hard.
firearm laws.
It is very difficult. There are two ranges. One of them is under Congress, and the other one is, I think, just inside, but the range itself is outside. It is almost impossible to own a firearm, to defend yourself or others, unless you just happen to be part of those elite few in D.C.
So now let's put a bow on accountability and the last segment. If it were me, and I knew that certain people were going to get arrested in Washington, D.C., what would be the first thing I would want to do in Washington, D.C. before I might have to actually go arrest people? Make sure that it's safe and under control. And then I might want to make sure that even the underground parts of D.C. might be under control as well. Anybody catch what happened yesterday? The executive order that was issued with regards to the National Guard being in D.C.? The executive branch of the United States government ordered a full audit of all of the tunnels underneath the Smithsonian. Now, the Smithsonian is not one building. The Smithsonian it's basically a small city unto itself. All the buildings and the space that it takes up. I wonder just how much is actually underground in the Smithsonian.
We already know that most of the archives and most of the important items, the artifacts, are stored underground in a massive warehouse under lock and key. And then there's a series of tunnels connecting all of not only the Smithsonian but the other museums throughout the entire thing, because that's where they transport and move throughout the entire
Complex.
So
wait a minute. You're telling me that somewhere in Washington, D.C., there's a massive warehouse with all these artifacts in it, that they just walk these boxes down into these artifacts, and then they probably tell the archaeologists who found them, oh, we're going to give this the utmost research and all this, and then they walk them into that good night?
I love how you said walk, because they're much larger than that.
Well,
But
I mean,
yes.
we've seen the warehouse in Indiana Jones. Those are
That's exactly what I'm referencing. I'm glad you're on the same page.
Those are one of the warehouses that they have. You know, the Ark is in there somewhere.
Well, the question is, were they showing us without showing us?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
The question is, were they showing us what they've got, where they've got it, the types of stuff that they're doing?
Well, and I mean, everybody knows. Well, if you haven't been to the Smithsonian, at any time, the Smithsonian only has 10% of what they own on display. Out of all the museums, there's 6 museums right there on the mall, and there's only 10% of what they own there. They also have another Air and Space Museum at Dallas Airport that the Enola Gay is in, and one of the shuttlecraft shuttles are in. So there's a tremendous amount of stuff they own. They got to warehouse it somewhere. There's millions of things that they own.
So this is why I look at this whole setup and go, man, if I was going to arrest someone who would be high profile, that might create a ruckus if you arrest them, the first thing I would want to do is make sure that can't happen.
Yeah, but
which would mean you'd need basically martial law.
Yeah, but those people aren't in D.C. All those people that they need they're not in D.C. They're all in compounds. They're in New York City.
Some of them are in D.C., I guarantee you. I guarantee you some of them are in D.C. Some are in New York. I don't disagree.
They're in and out so quick by the time,
Well,
I still don't think they're going to arrest anybody.
You might not. Maybe it's just wishful thinking on Kavan's part. But to me, the setup is way too straightforward.
Well, they have my full permission to put Adam Schiff in carbonite like Han Solo.
Oh, yeah.
And put him down. I don't know if I got that right, but put him down somewhere I wanted to level.
Yeah, freeze him in carbonite.
Yeah.
As long as they hang him behind Jabba, I'm good.
Did I get that one right?
Yeah, you got that one right. That's a good Star Wars reference. Yeah, ring the bell. Ring the bell.
No, there's no way. They only put 10% of it on display because it's so vast. There's no way.
Well, it also makes you wonder.
I would love to see an inventory sheet.
Okay, so let's talk about that inventory sheet. What's supposedly on it? Giant human bones?
Yep.
I mean, let's start there.
Other artifacts that were reacquired. Reacquired? Is that, we'll use that word. Reacquired from the British museums as well.
Okay, like what?
Lots of things. So Britain is very notorious for going in and go and do your research after we went into Iraq and Afghanistan.
Egyptian,
what they took through all the different
Greek.
things.
Yes, I mean,
they are
Nike Winged Victory was a Greek sculpture that is in the British Museum of History.
Prolific about
of
theft
art, yes,
or reappropriating, and then our own government has participated in that because through some of these artifacts, through some of these things, you get knowledge. So the amount of knowledge that we have underground.
Okay, so now you're going to make me want to go down a different rabbit hole, which is there were emails from a Secretary of State who we were referencing in the last couple of segments looking for the tomb of Gilgamesh in Iraq.
Yep.
Makes you wonder, does the Smithsonian maybe have some stuff that might not be that, but maybe lead to that?
I would not be surprised.
Here's the other part about, and this is a little bit of a shift. Not a shift. But it is discussing Schiff and Renee, to your point about you're not just going to do that in Washington, D.C. Another American president has declared normally peaceful cities under martial law during the tenure of this country. You know who it is, Renee? Because you were alive.
Thomas Jefferson.
No, he was alive then.
No, I don't
Yeah, I don't think it was done.
Abraham Lincoln, during the Civil War,
Yep.
took the mayors out of power and put his own people in to oversee the safety of northern cities during the Civil War. Please don't believe us on this. Go look this up. And it just so happens that the 47th president put that little factoid on Truth Social and sent it out, which would set him up for New York, Philadelphia, New Orleans, and maybe, a total of 17 cities?
Yeah, but that's typical Republicans doing that.
Stick around. If you don't get hour 2 of Implicit Bias Radio, call your station, tell them you want it. Hour 2 is always more fun when we come back, because it's your Implicit Bias. Hour 2 of Implicit Bias Radio coming to you from the Mr. Lester's TSPL. That's the top secret podcast lair for the uninitiated. We're somewhere in downtown Lafayette, Louisiana, and man, more fun than we should be allowed to have with microphones in front of us. I'm Kevon Bordelon. Caleb Moore sitting in the chair like mine. Caleb, I know you're thinking about what you could do with a microphone. And
I'm
I don't
agreeable.
wanna
I
know.
really am. Like it's it is a lot of fun. And thank God they don't record everything.
Yes. Thank God they don't record everything.
Walker does a really good job. See, I recovered.
Thank you.
I'm recovering.
Go ahead, Renee.
It's scary. We have whiskey and microphones.
Yes, whiskey
That's scary.
and microphones.
That's what makes
at the same
Walker
time.
scared.
That's what makes me scared. I'm not gonna lie. This whole thing was kind of my stupid, dumb idea. Was like, hey, let's do a radio show
In vino veritas.
and let's drink while we do it. Yes, in wine there is truth. I get that, and we get that truth. Sometimes we get too much truth.
And you were drinking when you made that decision.
Pretty
probably.
much. Grant Galata sitting next to the CWAT Certified Wizard of Tobacco. Okay, so we didn't talk about this in hour 1, but we need to. Grant was not here last week, so Grant doesn't know. Then again, he might have listened to the show last week. Renee was not here last week, but Renee listens to the show in his shop religiously. Renee, you can nod your head. Don't say it if you do. Do either of you at the bar know what Chef Willie's whiskey special is at Mr. Lester's for the month of August? Y'all, what in your mind would be the dumbest thing business-wise you could do with a whiskey special?
Free whiskey.
Free whiskey might be,
Yeah,
the
it's
dumbest.
pretty dumb.
What about whiskey for $1? $1 pours.
No, it's got to be some kind of rot gut stuff for a
Nope.
dollar.
It's the good stuff at Mr. Lester's.
Oh my
if
God.
you say, I would like an implicit bias pour during the month of August, your first pour is $1.
Oh my God. Of
Of
Anything?
whatever.
Yes. Of what whiskey you are asking for, it's $1.
that's ridiculous.
That is straight
That's
to
a-
plaid.
Yes.
Straight to plaid.
How do they do that? Because Renee has been the grandmaster of guessing the extremely low prices that Mr. Lester's always has on their pours. And they've gone down to $1.
First pour,
love it.
one pour is $1.
They're
Here's
crazy. I
why.
love
Because
it.
the reality is they want whiskey drinkers in Acadiana. They want you to be able to go get good whiskey and enjoy it. Grab an appetizer while you're there. Grab dinner. Look,
Oh, you definitely have to grab dinner.
yes,
But their whiskey selection is just phenomenal. I
It
mean,
is.
they have they have a lot of top-notch whiskeys that I would drink for $1. I don't know how I could select just one though.
agreed.
I think the biggest thing we need to tell people is go there, ask for an implicit bias pour before we get there, because they have a lot of phenomenal whiskeys, bourbons, ryes before we get there.
And,
And
we're willing to pay more than $1 for them.
And guess what? We are going back there September 10th. So the bulldozers are a-coming. Anyway, let's jump into the stories that are making things happen. We have additional weekly whiskeys here. We started with the Prideful Goat, a Benny's bottle from Benny's Grocery in Opelousas, part of the Implicit Bias Liquor Collective. $69.99, solid green here on the show, absolute must-have. And then this happened to make its way out. It's the Michter's 10-year straight rye whiskey. Renee, I'm going to let you wax poetic about this one for a second. This is your favorite.
That's just one of my favorites. In fact, the first time I had that whiskey was at one of our Mr. Lester's events. We met up in your room and you pulled that bottle out. And
Off of my bar. Yep.
that was the first time I had that. And I've been in love with that whiskey ever since. In fact, my son and I went to Nashville a few months ago and I went to a cigar bar and they had that on the bar and I had to have some.
Good.
And at Implicit Birthday, you only let me have a little bit.
Well, that's why I brought it here. What did I tell you before
yeah,
the
you
show?
did. You did that for me and I appreciate it.
I did. I brought it for you. Okay. We need to get underneath some more of the stories, and we're going to tie this back to hour 1. So, by the way, if you missed hour 1, go find us wherever you get podcasts. Go to YouTube, go to Spotify, go to Google, go to Apple, right? Go to your podcast app on Apple. Go back and listen to hour one, because this story actually might also tie in to everything going down in hour one. So for the last several years, and I have to set this up, please don't believe me on this. You can go look this up. These numbers are out there. But there is a records keeping system called Pacer in the United States. Grant, do you know what Pacer does? I saw you raise your eyebrows.
Well, just from the article, this story was just crazy and frightening.
So what does Pacer keep track of, though?
Oh, just all federal crimes,
all federal court cases.
Informants was the word that
well, so there's informants, sealed indictments are in Pacer. Everything's in Pacer. All documentation. So up until about 6-7 years ago, 8 years ago, the average number of sealed indictments in the United States across the country was, on average, call it 60 to 70,000 sealed indictments. For round numbers, let's say it's under 100,000 at any given time. 100,000 would have been a lot. Well, about 4 or 5 years ago, things start spiking. And as of today, we are over 400,000 sealed indictments. In other words, people who are indicted that they just haven't opened it up yet and made it public. Well, guess what? According to Stella X, and this is actually multiple places, this came out on August 10th, the Pacer system was hacked. Somebody went in looking for informants. This happened on August 6th was the actual hack.
That's whenever it was noticed. It could be as far back as mid-2024. Did you read about how they targeted the doors? We'll use the word door to get in.
So I was going to, let's say what they targeted, and you can go there. They targeted witness identities. So if you go to a grand jury is a secret proceeding. The witnesses, therefore, are not made public. They testify in front of a grand jury. They are testifying for a sealed indictment, which means nobody knows who they are. The hackers trying to figure out who the witnesses are. That's a problem. Sealed records. The witness identities potentially from, quote, state-sponsored actors. We say no accountability is coming. Who wants to know who the witnesses are? Who wants to know who the state-sponsored actors are? Who wants to know who's in these sealed records?
I want to know why there's over 400,000 sealed indictments. Obviously, the courts aren't doing their job and running these trials through, because there's no reason that we should have that many indictments just sitting.
Maybe there is. You know how a RICO case works?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
racketeering, influence, corrupt organization.
Yeah, they stack indictment on indictment to work their way up the chain.
And that means that they try to get all the tentacles of the octopus. They try to get everything. Right? They try to get as many as they can all at once. And if one leads to 4, and those 4 lead to 4 to each of them, now you're multiplying exponentially the number of people who need to be indicted.
But then you wind up with a prosecutor like Comey's daughter who just screws the case up and everything goes to hell and they have to fire her.
Which is another reason why you have sealed indictments, because you got to get the judges and the courts right first. Caleb, you said the doors that they targeted. What are you talking about?
If the federal government's anything, it's inefficient. So when we roll out hardware and software, hardware is only so good for so long. Eventually it gets outdated and support and service stops. When support and service stops, Walker, your laptop, the mixer we use, if support and service stop, would the software we use that protects that, would it still do most of its job?
It would just quit?
Yeah.
No.
It would do most of its job.
But not all of its job.
It wouldn't update for the latest security threats.
Correct. So there's certain things that it wouldn't get. It wouldn't get worms, certain new worms and other things.
New viruses,
new trapdoors, updated algorithms, updated firewalls. So that allowed less secure mechanisms to be exposed on what we would call a nipper net, non-secure internet. You have SIPR and nipper. A non-secure internet, we'll just use that term. And they targeted it, worked it, cracked the door open, and drew out data little by little on a small level to where it wouldn't be noticed over months.
Who does this benefit?
Well, but still, I mean, if you read a little bit, they said that the software was from the 90s that was protecting this stuff.
Yeah.
It was sorely outdated.
No doubt it's sorely outdated.
Right.
I mean, I absolutely agree. To me, the bigger question is, who wants this information? Who needs this information?
I would say people that were being indicted.
People that are concerned.
You want to know the witnesses that are testifying against you so they can be Arkansided.
Yeah, but Kavan always tries to tie all this stuff together. So I'm trying to tie this into what's going on with Schiff and Obama and all that. Yeah.
Right? Now you're picking up what we're putting down.
Yeah, you always tie it in together nicely. I'm just trying to figure out who or what specifically they could be after relating to the to Russiagate.
So let's start here. Maybe it's related to Russiagate, but it's related to even stuff farther back. Right? I mean, you go think about the alleged hack of the DNC server. You think about the 33,000 emails which they found, because even with BleachBit and taking hammers to cell phones, they still found all the emails on that Hillary Clinton server. You start going back through all that, and if you have a furtherance of a criminal conspiracy, let me just ask a question. Say, for example, that what happened in Benghazi years ago was the cover-up of a sale of, say, U.S. arms
Well, imagine
to a foreign government or a terrorist entity.
That would never happen.
It would never happen. But say it was. Say that's what happened in Benghazi.
hypothetically speaking.
Right? It wasn't about the video. We know it wasn't about the video, which was the first lie.
Right.
But say that Benghazi happens because there was an attempt to cover up the sale of U.S. arms. And then say that there was another cover-up to put the person who sold those arms into the presidency to be able to put all of that stuff away. Now you have a furtherance of a criminal conspiracy. Then when that person loses, they do other things to try and stop the new president from prosecuting them.
Or exposing what happened.
Or exposing what happened. And then when that president is then up for re-election, say you rig that election in order to keep him from winning again.
Oh, then then get an attorney general in another state to arrest him and charge him with stupid.
Now you're picking up what I'm putting down, Renee.
Kavan, that would never happen. Not in our country. That would never happen.
Not in our country.
Not in our country.
By the way, I love my life. I am not suicidal. I have absolutely no desire to leave this plane because I love my wife and my kids. I'm happy. My life is good. And
that I think that disclaimer stands for all of us in this room.
at this point, it does. At this point, it probably does. But therein lies my point. So now you start thinking about all the people who would have been involved in this.
Yeah.
Right? And I love the people who say, oh, y'all are so stupid. You're conspiracy theorists. You can't get this many people to stay quiet. You had how many people stay quiet about Joe Biden who couldn't even sign his own pardons? By the way, they figured out he only signed one the entire time he was in. He only signed one official document. Please don't believe me on this. That article came out this week too. Signed one official document by himself during his 4-year presidency, and it was Hunter's pardon. That's it. Everything else was auto pen.
What color crayon did he use?
I don't know, but just know that Caleb's probably going, yeah, all the Marines I know ate all these colors. So.
They use their mouth when they do it.
But this is where this all starts to come together, right? This is where this all really starts to look up and you go, wait, could this all really be connected? Could this all be put together? And the answer, is it likely? I don't know. Is it possible? Oh, hell yeah, it's possible.
Yep.
It's definitely possible. Grant?
They said the level of sophistication for this hack, it had to be state sponsored. I don't know if that's just a smokescreen. It had immediately point to Russia or China. But what you're saying is you think it was...
I think it was internally state sponsored.
Okay.
Look, I was having this conversation with a relative who has served very high up in the United States military. And the conversation was around what's happening globally geopolitically with regards to Iran, regards to Israel, Russia, and his talking point was, well, the guy doesn't know how all this works, right? He just goes off the cuff. He does all this. And I said, but wait a minute. Are you arguing with the results? Because isn't being unpredictable a strategy unto itself? Because you can't argue with the results, right? You just can't. But at the end of the day, when you start thinking about everything that's involved, the number of people that are potentially there, how this all has maybe come together or maybe not come together, what we realize is this, is that there are factions in foreign governments fighting each other all the time. So for example, when we said we have peace between Israel and Iran, and then all of a sudden you had one rocket just from Iran, right? One crazy rocket. That could be one crazy dude who doesn't like the fact that they struck peace, got a hold of enough codes and pressed a button. So you've got two regimes essentially fighting each other internally. If you think we don't have that here in this country, we're completely off our rocker.
Ours is the worst.
Ours is probably, to your point, Grant, yes, the worst.
You know, it makes me curious because if we could identify, I doubt they'll ever release it, but what the data transfer rate was, that would tell us if it's direct hardwired in, or if, because they said it trickled. There was a minute amount of data over time. But the easiest element, regardless of what you're doing in any espionage, is the human element. Human intelligence is the easiest one to exploit.
Did somebody walk in with a thumb drive?
So I would not be surprised. I hope I'm wrong. Would not be surprised.
Well, we already know data transfer rates are a thing. And we know this from the alleged hack of the DNC server back in, 2015, 2016? Yeah. Which didn't happen. It wasn't hacked. How do we know? Because the data transfer rate coming off the computer was too fast to go through the internet. It only could have gone to a thumb drive. A big fat thumb, like that big fat finger Walker just gave me from the corner to tell me that we need to take a break. We're going to go into more stories. We got tons more stuff, a lot more fun in hour 2 of this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio as you teach us something. Continuing to follow the logic on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio, because look, if we're going to teach, if we're going to learn, it's got to be from the teachers that we don't necessarily want to hear the message that they are delivering. This message, man, this message might have even gotten me. I'm Kevon Bordelon. I'm your host here in Implicit Bias Radio. We're having tons of fun in the Mr. Lester's TSPL this week at the bar. Renee Girard of Piper's Haven, the CWAT Certified Wizard of Tobacco. Grant Galatas, K&B from Kennebra of William S. Nacall Jewelers, the Rustic Renegade. Caleb Morse in on his about 7th or 8th whiskey as we settle in to this big story. So, again, when I say everything's tied together, this story really actually kind of shocked me. There was a little bit in me that was not surprised, but just very little. So we talked about how a conspiracy might have been furthered to, let's see, try and prosecute a presidential candidate. Right, Renee? Mm-hmm. They prosecuted this presidential candidate in multiple jurisdictions. Southern District of New York, in Atlanta, basically tried to do it all over the country, right? But the two big ones were New York and Atlanta. And this is where this gets real important. So first of all, Caleb Morse, he's sending text, and I'm like, I'm going to see this.
Yeah.
That was funny.
I had to say it.
That was funny. It was funny. Ring the bell. We can't say what this is on the radio because Caleb's...
I'm a child.
He's 12. It's okay.
I needed to get it out.
All right. We have not talked about Jeffrey Epstein on this show in a while.
At least 20 minutes.
At least 20 minutes, right? We're only going to talk about Epstein for just a second to ask, does anybody know what Jeffrey Epstein did before he became a hedge fund manager, a financial investment guru? Renee, do you know what he was?
Yeah, a math teacher.
Yeah, he was at a very prestigious prep school in New York.
And William Barr's dad hired him. We
Correct.
talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
We did.
Are you getting old like me?
No. No, I'm making a point here and I'm connecting a dot.
Oh, okay.
Because according to Project Veritas, Fannie Willis, the prosecutor in Atlanta, had help when she attempted to prosecute Donald Trump in Atlanta. Anybody know who helped her?
Well, wasn't it her boyfriend? Well, wasn't her boyfriend that?
Well, she did have help from him, but that was not the one I'm talking about.
Oh,
Anybody want to take a wild guess?
I would guess William Barr.
A former U.S. Attorney General who was selected by Donald Trump to be the U.S. Attorney General. Allegedly, handwritten notes and emails of William Barr, former U.S. Attorney General, helping Fani Willis prosecute a former president of the United States for something that he never should have been prosecuted for.
Evidently, Barr was not happy with Trump. I mean, that's the only thing I can figure.
I don't know that he was not happy with Trump. I just think he was a deep state player the whole time.
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, Caleb,
I mean, bought and paid for.
what do you mean?
Because when we look at his political career afterwards in the interim and what he's done and maybe what was promised to him or what he hoped for to continue that career, that would be the direction I would start to look.
That would not shock me. That would not shock me at all.
Trump sure pissed off a lot of people in his first go around as 45, didn't he? Because Christopher Wray was his appointee as
Correct.
FBI director, and Wray turned on him as well.
So is it
So
ticking?
he really did tick off a lot of people. in
Is
his
it
first go
ticking off too many people, or is it that the swamp is so deep that it's just so deep? People you think maybe aren't
Yeah, I think
actually are.
I think the swamp is very deep.
Well, when we
I
look
think
at
that. I really do think that.
look at a politician, right? Whenever they get elected, you elect the politician and they have a team. They have a team that really runs things. That's the truth. The team runs things. And if you're a new politician, when you get in office, whatever that office is, the other politicians and the person you're replacing says, look, these people, these are who you can trust. They do this, this, and this. And then the people that you lean upon say, well, yeah, look, you need this person, this person, this person. Put them in power, put them here. Trust this one. And you don't know what you don't know yet.
Yep.
So you're relying on help from people that you think are your friends. And there's a really good book called Necessary Endings, and it talks about how people are in your life for a time. Very few people are in your life forever. Very few people outside of your wife, outside of your Savior, are in your life forever. So some people are there just for a season, and we don't know who they are or when their season's up until it's apparent.
When Barr was put in place, people had high hopes. People thought that Barr might actually go after and create some of the accountability that we are skeptical that we will see.
Yeah, I mean, he was very well respected, and the reports out were that he was a straight up guy. That
But guess what?
obviously not.
Now we're finding out that maybe he wasn't.
Yeah.
This is where I love when people always say, hey, you guys only rag on one side. No. This guy was a Republican appointee more than once. This guy was staunch red Republican. All Bill Barr is now proof of is that it's one big club and we ain't in it.
Yeah.
To quote the late, great George Carlin. That's the reality of what this proves. Barr crossed the aisle to go work with freaking Fani Willis to try and prosecute a former president on what everybody knew was not a real charge.
Well, and obviously Fannie needed a lot of help because the stories and reports that I've read, she was very incompetent in her job.
What do you mean was?
Well, it was. I don't think she's there anymore.
But
Didn't it
whatever job
replace her?
she's in now, she's still incompetent.
Oh, well,
at that
yeah,
point.
but she's no longer a major prosecutor in Georgia, I don't think.
Well, I mean, there was almost discussion of her being disbarred over the way she handled the case against Trump. It was that bad. Her losing her law license, which what does that tell you about her getting a law license in the first place?
Yeah.
I don't think she realized what a microscope she'd be under. I really don't, because she appoints her lover as special prosecutor and didn't think that would come out at any point. That's very naive.
Well, this goes back to
It's
Schiff.
extremely naive.
This goes back to Schiff as well. I don't know if it's naive. It's either one of three things. It's naivete. I'm just so naive that I don't think it'll come out. It is arrogance. I am above the law and it'll never happen. Or it's desperation. It is, I am so far down this road. I have to try and finish it because my only hope of not, for the term, cooking my own goose here is to try and finish it out and hope and pray that my Hail Mary gets caught to win the game. It's the only hope I've got because everything else from here on out, we know, is trouble. And personally, my belief is that the swamp has been out to get the 45th and 47th president of the United States since the day he came down an escalator and announced he was running.
It's almost like a contest now. I mean, everyone's trying to score points. Everybody's trying to get their 5 minutes of fame, get that click, get that look how I'm combating Trump.
Well, not lately.
And it's a shame because all our professionalism is just being laid to waste in an attempt to do so.
Here's the fun part. Not lately. Lately, the sitting president has been on the offensive.
Yeah. I think everybody else is desperation trying to cover their butt, not to get caught, not to go to jail.
Well, look, I mean, we talked about this during the break. There are reports. I can't verify them. I also can't verify that a missile landed in Gaza 6 months ago. We can't, there's a lot we can't verify. The point here is this. There are reports that John Brennan has left the country and is hiding out in Austria right now. Now, whether that report is true, I don't know. But given that it didn't come from CNN means it's got a better chance that it's true than if it did come from CNN. And if you've got former high-ranking officials, it's a big if you've got former big high-ranking officials hiding out outside the country, that tells me a lot. And let's be honest, let's see, who all is left? Rosie left. I think we ran out of Graceland.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres is left.
Kimmel's talking about
Kimmel's
leaving.
talking about
He's got
leaving.
citizenship in Italy now.
Which might be frying pan to fryer because Italy is going more conservative than the U.S.
Yeah,
is
they're
lately.
they're almost as fascist as when Mussolini was there.
This just makes me wonder where you start seeing this smoke. You got to start wondering if there's fire here.
Yeah.
You got to start wondering, are all of these people doing this for a legitimate reason? And it's not that people are being hunted in the streets because they're not.
Well, except if you're in D.C.
Well, and you're a criminal, and you're out past curfew, right? But the point is, it's not that people are being hunted here. It's that maybe you committed crimes here that you don't want people holding you accountable for,
Yeah.
right? When Walker disappears, we know what happened.
Yeah, he's on vacation.
Yeah. We know that Walker's looking for somewhere else to go or something else to do or trying to give me another 1 minute finger. All right, we've got 2 segments left. Penultimate segment, then this one's going to be fun. These last 2 segments, we're going to go Monty Python, and we're going to go, I can't believe it's not butter, because it's not, on this episode of Implicit Bias Radio. That are rabbits and they've got the teeth and they'll tear you apart, right? Yeah, we're going full Monty Python on this week's episode of Implicit Bias Radio because yes, apparently the rabbits can kill you in Colorado. I'm your host, Kevon Bordelon. At the bar, we've got Grant Galatas, also known as K&B because he's from Kennebra and he likes to wear the purple polo, which we love. He's got the purple jockey this time with also a purple horse, so I guess it's a jockey horse. Is it a centaur, Grant, that's got a polo mallet? I don't know.
No, it's a dude on a horse playing polo.
And that is Renee Girard.
Hence the name Polo.
And that is Renee Girard of Piper's Haven, the CWAT, the certified wizard of tobacco. And of course, we've got the rustic renegade, Mr. Caleb Morse. You know, Renee, it just dawned on me, and we've got a couple seconds. We've had great whiskeys this week.
Yes,
What cigar would you pair with this Prideful Goat 6-year rye?
all of them. We got some new stuff in. An Avo, I hadn't smoked one in a while. It was an Avo Synchro, which is one of the Avo lines. I think would go very well with the Prideful Goat. The Mictors, one of mine I was thinking about was Esteban Carrera. It used to be called Devil's Hand, but they had to change the name. It's now called the Dictator's Hand. It's just a medium-bodied cigar.
So it's called the Hillary Clinton hand?
Well, yeah.
Okay,
No, that was
thank you.
when it was the Devil's Hand.
That's my point.
Yeah, they changed the name.
They
to
changed it to
protect-
the Obama hand.
Yeah, to protect the innocent. But yeah, both of them are great cigars. I think would go very well with those 2 whiskeys.
Appreciate that. Full-bodied, where are they on the spectrum?
They're both
Okay.
medium-bodied because neither one of the whiskeys are super strong. The Mictors is a lot lighter than the Prideful Goat, but they're well within my wheelhouse of strengths.
So from goats to rabbits, y'all, the hell is up with the rabbits in Colorado? I mean, when I saw initially the story about the rabbits in Colorado, all I could think of is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And they're like, oh, it's this big, terrible creature. And he's walking them through it. And they're like, you mean the rabbit? And they go down. And of course, the rabbit is jumping. And one bite, it severs heads and things of this. And now you can't touch the rabbits in Colorado.
Yeah.
I thought it was like that fungus that would take over spiders. I was like, maybe this is the natural progression of that.
But it's a papilloma virus that evidently it only affects rabbits.
It's like a calcified buildup.
Yeah, it's like a horn. They're growing horns out of their heads and face and mouths. And they said the only problem that they have is if it goes out of their mouth, they have a hard time eating and they'll die. But it doesn't seem to affect the rabbits, but it's just a weird virus that just popped up in Colorado.
Can you still eat the rabbits?
They're not quite sure.
I don't know.
Well, you obviously
you could cook anything long enough. It's safe.
Yeah.
Well, you're not supposed to eat rabbits during warm months. You're supposed to wait till it gets cold, right? I mean, there's
that's
that old
for the worms,
Yeah.
and internal parasites.
Well, look, I've hunted rabbit in Colorado. We toured La Pan up there because no one really hunts them. And like I can imagine coming home and be like, sweetheart, I just killed a 21-point buck. Because that's what a male rabbit's called, is a buck.
Yes.
So
I did not know this. You learn something new every day.
Or even better, a 21-point doe, which is what they call a female rabbit.
So is this a jackalope?
it's got horns.
It's got horns. Are these jackalopes? For those who don't know what a jackalope is, please look up a jackalope. It'd be a great mount on the wall, I guess. It would be a unique.
Like I would put one of these on the wall. It is interesting enough. It looks like a hand growing out the side of their little face.
I don't know if I know Walker's too young for this, but what about Watership Down?
Oh, dear Lord.
Do you remember? I was way too young when I watched that animation.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
was
I
it was
remember
about
that.
A rabbit colony, and there's some pretty kick butt rabbits in Watership Down.
Yeah, there was some terrible stuff in Watership Down, too, if I remember
Now
right.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
See,
It's an animation.
See, you go Watership Down. You go literary reference, right? I go, shh, be very, very quiet. I'm hunting horned rabbits. Right? I mean, that's where I go, right? I'm pure Elmer Fudd on this. Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit. I mean, that's where we need to be, right? Because to me, this whole story, all I see is Wagner and Elmer Fudd with a spear.
Yes.
Yo.
Yeah. And it's just, I guess it's just one of those diseases that pop up in nature that, we got all kinds of weird viruses and things that always pop up, like COVID.
Sorry, Renee, I don't. Maybe you need shots for stuff like that. I'm not there.
No, there are people in other countries that get these strange horn type growths out of their
Well,
head.
so yes,
So
some people are born with tails, believe it or not.
no, but
has happened.
there is a virus. It's actually more prominent in India, where people get these horn-like growths out of their skull, the back of their head, hands, that kind of stuff. Normally, the hands, if you look it up, hands is freaky because they look like they have hooves. It is very disturbing, and I wonder now that you mention it, I wonder if it's not a similar strain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they said in the article it was a Pamplona virus. And there's human Pamplona viruses. There's all kinds of, viruses do all kinds of weird things, and they all mutate.
Here I thought Pamplona was just a place where you went to run with the bulls. That's what I thought.
Well, either that or a restaurant down the street from here.
I knew you would go there.
Yeah.
That's why I took the running of the bulls in Pamplona and let you take the restaurant, because I didn't know if you would get the Spanish reference, Renee. No,
I hail from Spain, so.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Again, just this whole rabbit story. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Who had horned virused rabbits on their bingo card in 2025? I sure didn't.
No.
And all I know is this. If there's one thing we don't need, it's a rabbit that is hornier than they already are.
Yeah.
We'll come back, as we said, more fun in hour 2 on Implicit Bias Radio. Kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit. I still can't believe it's not butter, because guess what? It ain't butter. I'm Kavan Bordelon. This is Implicit Bias Radio, wrapping up hour 2, and we saved this story just for you. We could file this under so many different things. Maybe we're too smart for our own good. Maybe we file it under people who think they're smart, but are actually really freaking stupid and prove it. We could file this under you know, maybe Mother Nature and God just have a natural solution for that. But no, CBS News just outside of Chicago gave us this story. Now, we don't do this often, so before we play it, I'm going to give this a little bit of a preface. We're going to roll this story for you on the radio side. We'll put it in a picture-in-picture on the video side, and we're going to leave mics open so we can comment on this while the story runs. Because the pure stupidity in the next 2 minutes and 30-ish seconds is absolutely mind-boggling. Walker, short producer, roll it.
It looks, smells, and tastes like the butter we're all familiar with, but without the farmland, fertilizers, or emissions tied to that typical process. And this butter breakthrough, it's happening right here in Batavia.
So it's
in the
fake.
middle of an industrial park in a suburb west of Chicago, something unprecedented is happening.
So you're using this gas right now to like cook your food. And we're proposing that we would like to first make your food with that gas.
The company is called Savor.
Wait, what?
And you better believe it. Their pioneering tech uses carbon and hydrogen to make the stick of butter you see on this plate.
That's not
This
butter.
is pretty novel to be able to make food that looks and tastes and feels exactly like dairy butter, but with no agriculture whatsoever.
And
So
no
not
long
natural butter.
ingredient
Not
list
real.
the average person
How
can't
can
pronounce.
it be butter when
It's
it's
really
not
just
butter?
our fat, some water, a little bit of lecithin as an emulsifier, and some natural flavor and color.
So it's a chemical
How?
experiment.
Fats are made up of carbon and hydrogen chains. The goal here, replicate those chains without animals or plants.
In other
And
words,
they did it.
fake what
They
Mother
turn it
Nature
to
does naturally.
simplify.
Yeah.
They take carbon dioxide from the air and hydrogen from water, heat them up and oxidize them.
Nope, that's not
the
what she
final
said.
result,
It looks like a wax, like a candle wax at first.
Maybe
but they're
delicious.
fat
It might
molecules,
burn good in
like
candles.
the ones in beef, cheese, or vegetable oils.
Sustainability is
Yeah,
why
like,
we are
it's
here.
not those.
It's all done releasing zero greenhouse gases, using no farmland to feed cows.
Where do they
Like,
get the
not
natural
at
gas
full
from?
capacity in this facility yet.
And even though we're standing in a factory setting,
And in addition to the carbon footprint being much lower for a process like this, right? The land footprint is like 1,000 times lower than what you need in traditional agriculture.
Like totally.
I know what you're thinking.
So
You
it's
need to
okay.
taste this? I
So
would
it's
love for you
okay
to taste
to pull
How
out
does it
hydrocarbons out of the
taste?
ground now.
I love butter, so I'm gonna take a really healthy
There is no way in
amount.
hell I'm tasting this.
Admittedly, surprisingly,
I don't like eating
Like
gasoline.
butter.
Cheers.
Like butter is not butter.
Wait, there's more to it, isn't there?
That's plenty.
Oh no, because here's the
There's some
deal.
butter.
Plenty.
another reason they say this
Here we
makes
go.
an impact, no palm oil, a significant contributor to deforestation and climate change.
okay.
So
So
that's
margarine.
not all.
Yeah,
Of the
no
51
plastics.
billion tons of greenhouse gases emitted every year,
Somebody used it for palm
7%
oil.
is from the production of fats and oils from animals and plants. So
Cow
when could
farts.
you get a taste yourself?
Wait, listen to
Right
this.
now, they're working directly with restaurants, bakeries, and food suppliers, releasing these chocolates made with their
So
butter.
they're
in
sneaking
time for
this
the
into your
holidays.
food supply.
Savor butter in either its current manifestation or with our partners. We expect that to be on the shelves kind of more like around 2027.
So we're
Their
hoping
teams
you'll
here
buy it in a couple of
Batavia,
years, but
Illinois,
right now
and their
we're
home lab
sneaking
based
it
in
into
You'll eat
you
San
it
Jose,
without knowing.
California,
and we are
backed
poisoning
by
you
Bill
with this.
Gates,
I wonder if
who
we're-
Oh, wait,
his
stop.
blog.
Y'all heard the name?
The idea of switching to
William
lab-made
Bill
fats and
Gates.
oils may seem strange at first, but their potential to significantly reduce our carbon footprint
This-
is immense. Believing butter can make a difference.
Yeah, no, this is not
really
butter.
About how we feed our species and heal our planet at the same time.
No, this is about how
I
we
put more
kill our
information
species.
on food sustainability and how this could impact our food industry moving forward in the story that's up on our website right now, where you'll also find more information about this company. Reporting inside Savor's facility in Batavia, I'm Tara Molina, CBS News
okay, so-
I
Chicago.
have a feeling.
So hold on.
I have a feeling our DHS secretary won't agree with this.
So hold on a second. Let's start here. We're gonna make fake butter
it's not
out
butter.
of we're making it's fake butter. It's not
It's
butter.
not
it's
even.
fake.
It's not even margarine because margarine doesn't pretend to be butter. We'll call this flutter.
Okay. So we're making flutter out of carbon from the air.
No, that's what they changed it to in the beginning. She was popping natural gas.
Ah.
And then they said, well, hold on. We don't want to get confused. We don't want people to think we're relying on hydrocarbons because Bill Gates also supports carbon capturing and all those other things, which all of a sudden the left that was in huge support of it is against it. So let's rebrand it and call it carbon.
So wait a minute.
Sorry.
You're telling me that we have a fake food that tries to replace a God-given, Mother Nature, natural process of creating butter with a chemical experiment, and you're telling me that Bill Gates is the guy backing this?
Wasn't he
You
huge?
can't make this.
He was huge on the vaccine
You're gonna have to
and
edit
all
that,
the other
Walker.
stuff, right? He was really big on getting the vaccine, getting this, and just trusting the government. And now he's like, well, I flopped with killing 2/3 of the population. That's a harken back to the Georgia Guidestones. Now, let me try to get them to eat natural gas flutter. I wonder, is it flammable?
But now they're not using natural gas. They're
No,
using air carbon.
No, they're using natural gas. They just said carbon, and they said carbon from the air, which is still natural gas.
Right.
Which, hey, Louisiana, we're the big producer in natural gas.
Well, what's Bill
Flutter's probably
Gates?
good for
What's
us.
Bill Gates doing with his thousands of acres that he owns in Montana?
Well, this is the interesting part.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. What's he
Right?
doing with that?
Now, all of a sudden, that Bill Gates has all this land. Oh, this reduces the land footprint. Are you kidding me? Did we really need to do this? No.
No.
Nobody needed to do this. Nobody wanted this.
There's no shortage of butter. There's
Correct.
no shortage of dairies.
No. And guess what? Methane from cows is not a thing contributing to anything. It
Well,
is
she
part of the
said
planet.
7%, sir. She said it. How dare
Well,
you?
you said it. You said it already. Why butter? But where do you go from here?
Well, they've already gone meat.
I know, but did they really?
Yeah, they have cloned meat that people eat.
Oh,
now.
they're faking meat?
You're gonna
Oh,
have
yeah.
someone sitting down at their house, be like, "I'm eating cloned meat with cloned butter with cloned wine, sir."
You might have him saying that. I don't know.
Yeah, I ain't going there.
I'm not
I ain't
doing
going to
that.
eat at that place.
You know what I want when I eat a steak?
A
I want to hit it with the fork and hear,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? That's what I
Yes.
want.
I want real beef. I want real butter. I don't want margarine. I don't want mortar tube lubricant in my food. I want butter. I want fat that's been shaken or whipped or whatever, a little bit of salt, and it's natural and with nothing in it. Like I want it how it's supposed to be, as pure as we can get it. I
Shaken,
want
not
tallow.
stirred.
I want other things that we can make on our own. What they're doing is they're trying to make us dependent. This is freaking Demolition Man. Light years
Yeah.
ahead of Demolition Man. Next thing you know, savor is Taco Bell.
Yes.
But you would agree, Kavan, that this video was awful.
It was horrible.
Oh, this video was nothing but AWFL. This is the epitome of entitled, too smart, not wise, doesn't trust the old original process of doing anything. We are smarter than everybody else. We know better than everybody else. We are more intelligent than everybody else, and you should all live by the rules that we set. That's what this entire video was about. It was about, we got this great thing. It's called butter. It's one of God's gifts to human beings, butter. It's been around for thousands of years. And you know how butter, you know what it takes to create butter? A cow, a container, and a churn. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all
But-
you need.
and now
you don't
you-
need a lab. You don't need an extruder. You don't need a processing plant in an industrial park in Illinois.
And now the medical community and, the health people,
They're starting to figure it out.
they're starting to realize that butter ain't that bad. It's a lot better than the margarines and the chemical stuff that they've been pumping us, into us for years. So, butter's good. It tastes good too.
Look, I've been eating butter, Renee. I don't know what's been pumped into you for years, but all I know is this. When we eat natural stuff,
Yep.
when we eat bacon, when we eat beef, when we eat chicken, when we eat turkey, when we eat milk and eggs and butter and all those things that humans have eaten for thousands of years. And this is the hubris that comes with that entire video, Grant. Butter and meat, it's been a thing for thousands of years. And some young human being who has been here for less than the blink of an eye that we have been on this planet combined thinks that they know better. And that's the dumb part of this. You don't know better. You're not that smart. You're not that wise. You are not the one who's going to solve the problem of human existence, because human existence is not a problem. You know what it is? It's our implicit bias. Don't miss the rest of the show anywhere you find us on podcast. Stick around. If you're on Buzzsprout, you can get our bonus content. We got some fun stories coming your way. If not, we'll see you in 7. Cheers from the crew of Implicit Bias Radio.